Hello and welcome to the Love Muslims Critique Islam Part 7. So what really happened? Throughout this series of videos, I'll be sharing with you the truth of Islam that you won't get from mainstream media and you won't get from Muslims. So let me reveal to you the secrets Imams don't want you to know and take you on a journey of absolute truth. Abdul Malik was the head of the caliphate, which is the Islamic leadership, at the time of the Umayyad dynasty between 685 and 705 AD. Now, he recognizes that Arabs don't have an established religious identity like Jews and Christians have, and he sees the prophetic line in Christianity and Judaism going all the way back to Abraham. Now, Abdul Malik decides he wants the same for Arabs, and he starts one using Muhammad to create his prophetic line and give the Arabs an identity. He then introduces the new faith and called it Islam, and his people called Muslims. He makes Arabic the international language and introduces coinage to the region and becomes known since then as the Great Arab Reformer. So he creates an Arab identity, has Muhammad as his Arab prophet. He has the mosques facing the Arab sanctuary of Petra. So he introduces the faith called Islam and introduces the people called Muslims. Al-Walid, his son, starts to collate manuscripts between 705 and 715 AD. In Jerusalem, to help establish the new Islamic religion's supremacy, he builds a mosque that is bigger than any other building there at the time to make the point of supremacy. So this is at the site where Muhammad, in his dream, lands on a flying horse. So this is the reason why the Dome of the Rock is there today. And the Dome of the Rock's Qibla is facing Petra, which is, as I said, is the Arab spiritual power source at the time. And he uses local Jewish Christian construction expertise and know-how who are also running his administration to build it. Now, under Abdul Malik, when he was caliph, was the governor of Petra at the time called Abdullah Ibrahim Zubayr, who rebelled against Malik's Umayyad tribe in 683 AD in Damascus and destroys the Kaaba before moving it from Petra to Mecca. The Abbasids dynasty, hailing from Kufa over there in Iraq, joined the rebellion in support of Zubayr, who, having moved the Kaaba, and now have their sanctuary in Mecca and demand allegiance to it by all the surrounding tribes. Most of the Qiblas in the new mosques are pointing towards Mecca by this stage and not Petra, which meanwhile has been hit by an earthquake in 713 AD and is destroyed. Some other Muslim dynasties, however, rebel further and have their Qiblas facing neither Petra or Mecca. But by the time the Abbasids finally overpower the Umayyads in 749 AD, most Qiblas are facing Mecca, with a few exceptions. At this stage, early Quranic manuscripts start to appear and start to generate during the reign of Abdul Malik's son, Al-Walid, who led the caliph from 705 to 715 AD. Unfortunately, none of the manuscripts are complete, nor do they match anything in the Quran today, and they continue to change up to the 9th century until the Quran is eventually canonized in 1924 in Cairo, roughly about 90 odd years ago. And it's the reason why we have 31 different Qurans today. Islamic scripts, you see, they are light and vague on detail on Muhammad, and were written in a time frame much later and further away to his life. But the Bible was put down much closer to Jesus' death and by eyewitness accounts. Jesus' life is much more traceable from birth and in parts his childhood, but in the main, the last 3 years of his life. But a lot of what Muhammad's life was just not written down until well after his death, and much of it is in doubt. We also have non-biblical writings from respected Greek and Roman authors and historians, people like Thales, Tacitus, and Josephus. Now, we know what we know about Jesus, and these are from hostile accounts, and they too verify the Gospels as to what Jesus did when he lived. And so the Bible accounts of Jesus' life is a lot more detail of how he was born, much about how where he grew up and what he did in his latter days of his life. Of course, we now know where and when he died. What we now know about early Islam is in doubt through lack of evidence, basically. Much of the Quran is in doubt because it was revealed to an illiterate who didn't trust his revelations and was revealed in a language that had to be developed. Nothing is known of Muhammad until the late 7th century. Nothing is known of Mecca until the late 8th century. Nothing is known of his story until the 9th century, which is 100 years too late and written by people who lived 100 miles too far away. So one thing is for sure, whoever wrote the Quran, it definitely wasn't Muhammad. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Join me next time when I shall be asking, has the Bible been corrupted? In the next episode of Love Muslims, Critique Islam. So I'll say bye for now.